So now that I've been looking forward to, and Cindy Pace, yep, keep coming up. Shh. You were doing so well, and this is a terrific topic. Yes, you were. That I've been dying to hear from. So leading us into this incredible topic that we should know about, the future of money. We just went from the future of energy to the future of work, and now we're in the future of money. So Cindy Pace, could I have your attention, please? Is the Vice President for Global Diversity and Inclusion at MetLife in New York. Please give her a warm welcome.
Good morning. Are you ready for some really good conversation this morning? About money. You know, they say more money, more problems. We can translate that in several languages, but sometimes that might be the case. But today, what we're going to talk about is how money is changing, and it's changing the future. But we're not going to do a course on money. We're going to talk about the impact of these different currencies, the intersection of technology and finance and banking. How does that impact women? How does that impact our independence? How does that impact our ability to shape and change the future for better? So you're in for an amazing panel of speakers. Because we are limited in time, I would love to talk about their amazing accolades. But I'm going to refer you to page 23 to read on your own and take time to get to really know these amazing women. What I will do is call them up one by one. But before I do that, I want to highlight a few things about our conversation today. And I want you to think about how you got here to the Global Summit of Women. Now, how many of you went to the bank, pulled out cash, and paid your way here? Okay, a few people. All right, a few people did that. Somebody said nobody, but actually that's diversity. A few people did. How many of you did your transaction online? You paid for your ticket? Okay. Bought your ticket, got here. How many of you had an online boarding pass to get on the plane? Okay, we're in the future. I just want you to know if you're afraid about cryptocurrency and some of the things we're going to talk about, you will learn more. But we're in the future right now. We're living it. We're going to talk about pros and cons. Some of the pros is the acceleration that we've seen because of COVID, and we're in post-COVID, has really transformed access. And what it does for us as women, it offers us access to more banking online through our mobile phones, no matter where you reside in the world. We can invest in businesses. We can invest in the future of our business and other people's businesses. We can achieve greater independence. We can teach our children and their children's children how to do that as well. And we can impact our environment. We're going to talk about this on this panel, but we're also going to talk about the watch-outs. We're not all digitally literate. We don't know what all of this stuff means. I have a 91-year-old mother. She knows how to pick up the iPhone and talk, that's it. So we still have a banker for my mother. we still go in and meet with our banker in our neighborhood. There is increased volatility. With cryptocurrency, maybe you're a millionaire 1 second, and a second later, you're broke. And then you're a millionaire again, maybe. So these are questionable. There's also questionable practices in terms of the governance of these new currencies. And then last but not least, we cannot forget, because we need more women in technology, there is still a perpetuation of gender bias and a pay gap that exists. We will discuss this here today on this panel. So I'm going to call up in the order of our conversation. Our first speaker, we have Raja Al-Mazroui. She is the CEO of Etihad Credit Insurance. Welcome to the stage, Raja. I actually went out of order. I looked at Fatima, but you know what? I'll just change it later. Next, we have, and I have not seen her, but I hope she is here with us, Marta Sesson. Marta, welcome to the stage. Marta is the president and CEO of Mint and GCash from the Philippines. Next, we have Fatima Jantaruk. Jantaruk, she told me rock. Fatima Jantaruk. Thank you, Irene Natividad. Fatima, welcome, is the country managing director for Accenture Thailand. Last but not least, we have Emin bin Rajab Imza. She said Emin. I did the phonetic stuff yesterday, but we'll get it straight. Okay, Emin is the head of climate analytics and alignment data analytics at BNP Paribas, France. Come have a seat. So what we're going to do is we will kick off with Fatima, who's going to take us through a lot, really the evolution of money and an understanding that will ground us in the foundation of our conversation. I am going to hand you the clicker and turn it over to you. Thanks, Fatima.
Good morning, everyone. Irene gave me a lot of... Okay, get up. Okay. I know that's coming. I'm trying to save time because I only have 10 minutes on a very difficult topic. So she gave me, the topic of future of money. A lot of people ask, why do we have to talk about future of money? And what's in it for all of you in this room? So I get a privilege of setting, I would say it's setting the ground, because all of you in this room has different background. So I want to give you a little bit of a glimpse of the evolution of money. So before I get into, all the panelists will talk about the future of really money. I give you the evolution of money. So all of you know where the money came from, right? So we started it out with using, animal, using some seashell in exchange. And then we get into coins, and then we start to get into paper, and now credit card, digital money or digital currency. And now cryptocurrency. So what's the difference? So at the beginning, you're thinking about or you're talking about, the analog, the kind of money that only move at the speed of human. But when it comes to digital, when you started it out with digital, right? So that gives you further and faster way of creating money, distributing money, collecting money, and manage money. So when you see all of this, right, that's another word that I put on here, which is the intermediary. One that has bank regulated, and then digital currency and cryptocurrency somewhat has unregulated bank. So with that, right, now you need to understand the difference. A lot of people didn't quite get it. What's the difference between digital money and cryptocurrency, right? Because it's the same with the word digital in front of it. Or even, when you put in cryptocurrency, I didn't want to talk about it because last year it went from 60,000 US dollars. If you look it up this morning, the value of one coin, one Bitcoin, is 29,000. So half of it. But you still need to know. Because if I were to classify the difference between digital money or digital currency versus cryptocurrency, there are 5 of them, right? So the first one, when you talk about, digital money, often there's a centralization. So there's bank or central bank involved, right? But when you talk about transparency, encryption, the cryptocurrency claim to have more transparency and more security because it built on blockchain. So when it comes to new technology, of course, often, there's some question in terms of, whether it's legal or illegal and all that. We're going to get into that later on. And also the stability. One that was created with the backup of the money or the asset, but one doesn't. You can claim that the stable coin has some backup, but some is not. So all of these 5 categories define the difference between digital money and cryptocurrency. I'm trying to explain in an easy term, but that's all you need to know, right? So that's a trend. Why you need to know about the future of money? Because the young generation looking at, the way of paying for your goods, your services in a different form or format. So we at Accenture, we've done research, right, across the globe, and that 3 trending next generation of payment. So the first one, digital wallet. So I'll choose one good example that all of you probably know. 2010, when Starbucks started launching the loyalty program, they create a wallet on mobile application. So I call it a bank that sells coffee. You know why? You know how many customers Starbucks has today? Over 100 million customers. And if you have that money in that wallet, you're giving money for Starbucks. It becomes one of the biggest banks at one point. Last year, it was reported that 1.5 billion 1.5 billion was put in the prepaid digital wallet that Starbucks has. Too much coffee, yes. And the fact that now that it linked to the credit card, your credit card, right? So it gives, the ability for Starbucks to learn about your coffee behavior, when you having it, what kind of coffee you like. But that's the format of one company picking digital wallet and make it loyalty program. So today, digital wallet collecting points, airlines that Dr. Cindy asked, boarding pass, health information, all kind, right, in the digital wallet. Number one digital wallet in the market today is like Apple Pay, Google Pay, right? So all of that. So the second one, it's called A2A payment. Why do you need to know? 2 years ago, the Central Bank of Brazil created a platform that linked between account and account. So you think about, when you use credit card to pay for the service of goods, you know how much merchant pay for the transaction fee? 2.2%. 2.2%. So if you use debit card, 1%. With account-to-account platform that the Central of Brazil Bank create, the transaction fee is 0.22%. So meaning that now the phase one, right, being implemented with 70% of Brazilian using A2A model. Meaning for me to you as merchant, for me to my friends, for me to any business. So that's A2A type of payment. And what I heard or I understand, a lot of countries start to pick up A2A model. So you need to know whether you want to be on that platform or not. Trending number 3, buy now, pay later, BNPL. So another example, good example, that happening in your home today for UAE. The company called Tapi. It's a fintech company that doing the payment, but they want to connect with another fintech in Egypt that owns 120,000 goods. 120,000. It's similar to A2A, right? But it's model of buy now, pay later. So in the short term of the payment, but one company knowing another company and using technology to connect, right? So, so the two fintech can work together collaboratively to create this buy now, pay later. It doesn't happen in the country, but these are the 3 forms of next generation of payment. I'm gonna go quickly now, because why do we need to talk about this today? There are 1.3 billion, 1.4 billion unbanked customer out there for you. A lot of them are women. If you look at this number, right, 85% of the adult unbanked still getting cash from government. So you think about how they're gonna buy, even though cash is still, popular in the market. But when you look at this unbanked population, you're looking at in China, in India, in Mexico, in Brazil, a lot of them still doesn't have bank, right? And now you see this form of payment from mobile. I don't go to the bank, hardly. But this is the form of what you see wearable devices turn into like a credit card, right? And guess what? I saw the other day, the guy using the ring. that collecting, you're connecting with your credit card to pay at the point of sale. So this is the new form of paying. But because it's so easy to spend money these days, especially with the young generation that doesn't own any bank account. So that's some pitfall, right? Because it's so convenient, it can be a spending trap for a lot of people. So it is important for you to understand the advantage and disadvantage of how this money really work. I know my panelists will do a fantastic job in going into the level of detail, but there's some advantage on digital money, and there's some disadvantage. A lot of you thinking about, I've been hearing this past few days about, this dark side of unregulated crypto. But you know what? When you look at this, right, that because of the new technology that really drive that. You heard about the generative AI, right? If you look that guy up, Max Braid, he's a fake CEO that was created by AI. You are here, you real CEO. That's fake CEO out there. He talked brilliantly because it's machine learning feeding the best quotes in the world that you have to read through it. But he talked brilliantly about crypto. And there's some, crypto scam in Spain that was generated by AI. But I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to tell you that cryptocurrency is here to stay. There's a bank in Brazil picking up, or working with one of the largest retail in the country, Pick and Pay. They went on pilot 1 successfully, meaning that the clients can use cryptocurrency to buy any grocery store. Pick and go, right? Pick and pay. So it's happening, whether you like it or not. So yeah, this one, right? When you look at the digital money or cryptocurrency, it's just like, when the first car came out. A lot of, horse and carriages are on digital money. Economy was built on it. So it's coming, even though it's still slow, it's still questionable, but it's here to stay. So when we talking about, the future of money, there are level of trust, there are opportunities for all of you, but at the same time, I still want you to think about data privacy. So at the end, how you turn this unbanked, even though there's 1.4, but how you turn the adult 1 billion into your new customer. It is for you to start building trust at every touch point. Just go with the heart and look at the trend of the young generation who will be your customer in the future. And that's where the future of money is. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Fatima. I tell you, I don't know anyone that can make something so complex understandable. You did a phenomenal job of setting us up. So, before I call up our next amazing speaker, I just want to make sure that our panelists know that I have a timer for you, and you can just glance. I'm going to have the phone right here, and you can just glance and see the time, because we have about 30 more minutes. So next, we have Raja Al-Mazroui, and she is the CEO of Etihad Credit Insurance. And she's going to take us on the digitization in the UAE, but the impact on women. And I look forward to us learning more from her. So, Raja.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you for having me, and it's a great pleasure to be with Irene and the Global Summit of Women here in Dubai. I wanted to talk first about the opportunity that actually technology brought to everybody, and in particularly women. Since 2018, capital markets started to be dominated by technology companies. They started to make the most revenues. And that triggered...
Excuse me, Raja. I just want to make sure that everyone is paying attention, because we have a prize for you at the end. And you might miss it talking. So back over to Raja. Go ahead.
Thank you. So I was saying that since 2018, the technology companies started to dominate all capital markets in terms of revenues. And that created an opportunity for disruption across all sectors. So there was an opportunity to disrupt education. And around that time, the whole trend of Fintech started to emerge. And during that time, I was working with the Dubai International Financial Center. And because it's the leading financial center in the region for financial services company, I was part of the team looking at how could this disruption affect those financial institutions. And we realized that with technology, all of the traditional banking and traditional way of offering financial services would be impacted. And the best way to understand was to co-create and collaborate with the disruptors. So the whole idea of the accelerator that we launched at the DIFC came from creating a space for innovation where we bring the financial institutions close to innovators from technology startups and help them co-create solutions that will enable financial inclusion, more population access the financial services that was very limited in certain countries and in certain regulations. But then we were hit by the pandemic, and everyone was locked in their homes. Everyone had to do all of their work online. Luckily, in the UAE, we started the digitization journey really early, and since 2014, the government had the innovation. During the pandemic, we had to shift to the future of work, as mentioned in the previous panel, because we had to do our meetings on Teams. We had to be able to measure our productivity and contribution virtually. And also, we had to do all of the services online. So it was a transition period, but not only here, all over the world, everyone switched to digital platforms. Women had to learn technology because their kids switched to online schooling, and they needed to understand the different platforms, how to make sure the kids are following and attending, and so forth. And that on its own created an opportunity for women to understand the opportunities that they can tap into through the technology. I'm sitting at home, I have access to technology, I have access to digital services, I might launch an online business. There are all of these fintech solutions that provide payment gateways, buy now, pay later, all the solutions that will help me sell my skills or services or goods from the comfort of my home. But how would I know about all of this? And this is the point that I really wanted to highlight is, as women, we need to be connected in overall ecosystem of learning. Mentorship was mentioned earlier. Financial services is a male-dominated sector. Technology is a male-dominated sector, so you can imagine how fintech would be the same. So during the interaction with all the startups and as we set up this ecosystem for the UAE, I realized there was a major gap of female representation in this sector. And with the support of my peers, and some of them are here in the room, we launched a female talent accelerator program. We called it Accelerate Her. And Accelerate Her mission was to put these women who are early in their career in either financial services or in technology in a talent accelerator to learn about fintech, technology, regulation, payments, crypto, and how can they shift from their existing roles, whether it's in a traditional financial institution or in a technology company, to more entrepreneurial roles or to innovation roles. And we've accelerated more than 100 women throughout the program, and some of them launched their own fintech startups. But it was really important to create this space of experimentation. And I think being able to say, I don't know so much about fintech. I don't know so much about blockchain. I'm not sure about cryptocurrency. But it's okay to ask. It's okay to learn. Go to events, go to meetups and networking, and ask questions. I was offered a Bitcoin in 2014 for $200. I didn't buy it because I come from financial services sector and I didn't believe in the technology. And I was like, what am I buying exactly? But I mean, if we can go back, I would have bought all of them. Too late. But then again, when you come to digital currencies, and I know Patama touched on them, you need to understand the technology, not just because of you. You are the mother and you will have children and you will somehow be responsible to guide them and mentor them on their investments. I have 2 kids, they're teenagers, they play online games all the time. They have their own coins and currencies. And I try to understand how do they do it. They have no conviction, they're not convinced, why do we need banks? In their mind, everything is digital. They have their coins, they have their own wallets, and they can trade and exchange and do all of their services online. So we need to prepare for the next generation, not only on business level, but also in raising our kids to understand what is right and what is wrong. And the important thing I want to highlight is we have to understand the difference between cryptocurrencies and digital currencies. Digital currencies, and mainly CBDCs, are issued by central banks all around the world. When it's issued by a central bank, then it's regulated, it's protected, it's backed, so that's something that you should definitely be open to using. However, when we go to crypto, you need to understand the technology. I don't own any crypto, and I will not go and say buy or don't buy. It's really up to you what you do, but what you need to understand is that cryptocurrency is really based on a blockchain technology that is based on certain transactions that happen somewhere else in the world. Whether you are happy to invest in those kind of technologies, just make sure you don't put all of your investment in there. Maybe a portion that you're happy for it to grow, or to, if you lose it, you don't really mind. But knowledge is power, and we've learned a lot from all the issues that happened. The UAE has built a progressive regulatory environment to support tech startups to experiment here. We want to be part of the future, and we want the future to start from here without taking a lot of risks and without compromising a lot of investments. How do we do that? So if you look at the UAE, we've launched the Virtual Assets Regulatory Authority, independent from the central bank, independent from the financial services regulator. And it's an authority that is looking at innovation with the startups, allowing them to test the technology. They monitor the technology for them to say, okay, you're regulated. Because I forgot to mention, digital assets are coming very soon. I mean, they are available, but they will be regulated more heavily in the future, because that's what our kids will invest. They won't buy a painting from Christie's, they will buy an NFT from one of the websites, and that's what they will trade, and they want that NFT to be stored somewhere safe and secure. So we have the Virtual Assets Regulatory Authority that looks at regulating crypto activities. We have the DIFC and ADGM, and both have regulators for fintech. And fintech is really taking traditional financial services, modernizing it, and making it very simple to use. There were a lot of solutions I didn't know about until I was in the sector. So, for example, the crowdfunding for real estate. I wouldn't be able to buy, as a woman, an apartment for $1 million, but I can buy 10% of that. And that's what those crowdfunding solutions are for. Is that my alarm? Thank you so much. I will have to pass on.
Thank you so much, Raja. And Raja actually has a flight and has to leave immediately at noon. We're going to now go to talk more about climate and money and the green economy. Emin? Yes. Thank you. Emin will take us through, and you have your clicker over here. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Iman Benraja Benza. I'm in charge of BNP Paribas Climate Alignment and Analytics Data Analytics team, which is a joint venture between CIB, the Corporate Investment Banking Department, and Group CSR. This is a data scientist team in charge of climate risks quantification. So Raja and Patama presented you an overview of the future of money through fintechs and crypto money. I will present you the future of money from a global bank perspective, so from the traditional banking industry perspective. I will first present you very briefly global warming and climate change issue, and then present you how banks will be funding the climate change intervention efforts. Extreme weather events became more acute and more frequent due to climate change. What you can see here are some of the most deadliest examples of droughts in Africa, floods in Southeastern Asia, and in Europe. There is an increased rise of global awareness of climate change. This is a common fact to all industries, but this is particularly true to the banking industry, as it plays regularly a catalyst role for the transition. Let's have a look at these interesting figures. So for the first time in history, in 2022, green bonds and environmentally friendly projects raised more money on capital markets than fossil fuel industries. This doesn't mean that green is finally winning over fossil fuel. It's also due to the fact that oil prices were high last year, so oil and gas companies needed less funding from capital markets. But this change of paradigm is already true in BNP Paribas financings, as in last year, clean energy financings were higher than fossil fuel financings. You can see a clear trend of green financings that increased massively during the 10 last years, according to this data compiled by Bloomberg, while fossil fuels financings are stabilizing and declining over the same period. So let's have a look at BNP Paribas' climate journey. Just keep in mind that these milestones are only related to the climate alignment project. The climate commitment of BNP Paribas started more than 10 years ago in 2012, 2013, with the first fossil fuels investment policies. Then in December 2018, 5 European banks signed the Katowice commitment. BNP Paribas, Société Générale, Standard Chartered, BBVA, and ING committed to align their financings with Paris Agreement goals. They also pledged to build together open source methodologies and tools in order to measure that alignment. In April 2021, BNP Paribas was one of the founding members, of the 43 founding members of the Net Zero Banking Alliance. So signatories of this alliance commit to align their financings, so the GHG attributable to their financings, with net zero pathways by 2050 or sooner. In May 2022, the bank published its first climate alignment report with the first round of sector targets, and we plan to publish in the next few weeks our second alignment report. Just a few words to explain the increase of ambition between the Katowice commitment signed in 2018 and the Net Zero Banking Alliance commitment. So you can see here that Paris Agreement goals target limiting global warming to well below 2 degrees, while in the net zero commitment we target to align our financings with net zero pathways by 2050 or sooner, which are generally aligned with 1.5 degrees limitation of global warming. According to the last report, the 1.5 special report of the IPCC, the difference between the two levels of global warming is huge in terms of limiting the number of casualties due to climate change. So NZBA, through some key figures. Today, NZBA is comprised of 129 banks, present in 41 countries and representing over 40% of global banking assets. This is a great place to exchange on alignment methodologies. We can have also bilateral discussions on methodologies again with peers, but always in the respect of anti-competition laws. We chose a sector-based approach in order to have a common language with our clients. So last year we covered power generation, automotive, oil and gas. We will cover in the next few weeks the heavy industries that are steel, aluminium and cement, and we will cover the 4 remaining most climate relevant sectors last year. Next year. So why focusing on these sectors at first? So according to the World Resources Institute, the energy sector is responsible for 75% of global greenhouse gas emissions. In comparison to this figure, power generation, oil and gas, and automotive sectors only represent 7% of the lending assets of BNP Paribas. Thank you. So a few words on our methodology. It could be summarized in 4 steps. First step is to perform a diagnosis of the sector, to identify the transition levers of the sector. So we have very interesting discussions with sector experts, with external working groups. Then we have to identify the most relevant climate performance metrics. So for example, for the power generation sector, which is the most mature sector in terms of methodology development, in terms of data availability, we can consider the emission intensity expressed in grams of CO2 per kilowatt-hour. So we need to compute the average emission intensity of the portfolio to compare it with the average economy emission intensity and to define a target that is derived from a climate scenario that should be necessarily net zero by 2050 or sooner, and that should be provided by a well-recognized body like the IPCC or the International Energy Agency. Then we have to steer our financial flows in order to remain on track with this defined trajectory. The last step is to monitor our progress year on year. So you have here the last sectors that we intend to cover in 2024. So we will have to cover the aviation, the shipping, real estate, and agriculture in order to be fully in line with the NZBA guidelines. So last step of all this process is to operationalize our net zero strategy. If you need more information, you have here the link to our climate report. And thank you.
Thank you, Amin, and I recommend all of you to get the climate report because it will be very educational. And if you're interested in continuing learning more about this topic, this afternoon there's going to be a focus on women on boards and the E and the S, I believe. All right, Marta, we are ready to hear from you in a cashless society. Sure, I'll have to bring you the...
Good morning, everyone. Well, I'm very excited to share our story. I'm from GCash. It's the #1 fintech in the Philippines. And I'm here to share our story, how our country, the Philippines, known for its challenges with development, progress, and technology, has embraced the journey towards being digital, cashless, and financially included. And how GCash became and continues to be a part of this journey. Our people have long been financially excluded in the Philippines. Before the pandemic, only 29% or 3 out of 10 were banked, while investment, insurance, and lending remained out of reach. With the help of mobile wallets like GCash, the situation has significantly improved. Our vision is finance for all. We work to give our countrymen access to digital payments and financial services because we believe that financial inclusion leads to economic freedom and that it is a right for everyone and not just a privilege. Now GCash is a finance super app used by 81 million Filipinos for everyday small transactions up to planning and building for a brighter future. 40% of our active users have availed of at least one financial services. We have GSave that offers fast and easy setup of deposit accounts. Now, 1 in 4 bank Filipinos have GSave. Next is GFunds that democratizes access to investment. For as low as $1, Filipinos can now invest in a local or global funds. 3 in 4 UITFs are conducted through GCash. Third is GInsure that has made insurance accessible even to the uninsured, selling 8.7 million policies today. And Fair Lending for All, where we have disbursed $1.3 billion of loans to 2.8 million unique borrowers. Our goal is to serve Filipinos wherever they are, and that includes 10 million who live and work overseas, helping them reconnect to their loved ones back home. This year, we launched GCash Overseas. Now, Filipinos with international SIMs can download and register and use GCash. And we have launched in 6 countries to date, soon coming to UAE. We have also made international payments easier, especially for those who are revenge travelers like us. Our partnership with Alipay has made it easier to pay via QR code in 9 countries, including Qatar. While our GCash MasterCard can be used in 210 countries worldwide. So where there's MasterCard, you can use GCash. What's good is we offer the best exchange rate. At the end of the day, everything we do is for our customers. They are our North Star. Beyond Super App, GCash is a great enabler of people from all walks of life, all of whom have their own stories to tell. And these are just some of them. Julian transitioned to using digital payments for his everyday needs, like buying load, buying food during the lockdown. I'm sure many of the Filipinos here can relate. Now, up to 24 million transactions are done daily, and by 70% of Filipinos. Kokoy, one of millions who lost their job during the pandemic, was able to start a new business by getting a G loan with us. So far, we have empowered 6 million merchants and social sellers to date. Bernadette is an overseas Filipino worker. She can now finally pay for electric bills straight from Canada and surprise her sister with her favorite chicken joy as if Bernadette were also in the Philippines. Through GCash, over 40% of OFWs are reconnected to their families back home. Last is the story of Alma, but instead of sharing the story myself, I invite everyone to watch this video.
Oh, ito na yung readings mo. Thank you po. Morning, sir.
Thank you, Ate Alma, pero umaya ko na lang po babayaran na malilate na po ako sa exams.
Sus, ikaw pa ba, Pangga?
Lakas ko sa'yo, ate.
Oh, ito na ang readings mo.
Saver ka talaga, Ate Alma.
Oh, sige, ingat ka pag-uwi, ah.
Ingat din po kayo. Thank you, Ate Alma. Gcash ko na lang po.
Ikaw pa ba, Pangga?
Una na po ako.
Sige.
Ate, I failed the exams.
Kayang-kaya mo yan, Dayan. Makakabawi ka rin, Dayan. Ikaw pa ba?
Ate Alma! Nakapasa po ako sa...
Ha?
Opo. Kuya, si Ate Alma po. Ilang araw na po kasi siyang wala eh.
Ah, si Alma. Nabaha daw siya.
Ma, tingnan mo to.
Sa mga nais tumulong kay
Si Chelsea ito,
Ito pala
oh.
yung Gcash ni Ate Alma. Ate Alma, for you! Para sa ito, Ate Alma!
Hello, Ate Alma. Dayan?
Sa inyo po yung 34C, no? Hintay po kayo, ate. Malapit na po kami. Ate Alma! Makakabawi tayo, Ate Alma. Tayo pa ba?
Kaya-kaya. Kayang-kaya, ate. Ito ang GCash story ko. Diba? Laging may liwanag sa dulo ng bawat bagyo.
Thank you. Throughout the pandemic, we have helped collect and distribute $320 million in donation and aid to 2.4 million Filipinos like Alma. These are only 4 out of 81 million GCash stories that continue to inspire us every day. Now, at the heart of financial inclusion is providing access to credit when people need it the most. In a country with no national credit bureau, GCash has managed to provide the most extensive and sophisticated credit score called G-Score. With this, we have empowered people, mostly women, to borrow money without the need for collateral, just their own good digital behavior. Because of this, we can lend to those excluded by traditional financial institutions, those at the bottom of the pyramid, no matter what their age, and largely to women and women business owners, helping them to thrive. At GCash, we're also proud of our sustainability programs, one of which is G-Forest. While other companies give discounts for their rewards programs, we have G-Forest. Every transaction, our users earn green energy points, which are used to plant actual trees through our partners. So far, we have 12.8 million users, or what we call green heroes, and we have planted over 2.2 million physical trees. That's equal to 31 billion grams of carbon emissions saved, enough to fuel over 37 trips around the world by plane. I have 2 more slides. Our journey to financial inclusion is far from over. We are excited to continue to enable and empower more underserved segments that will help transform the nation and make Filipinos' everyday lives better. Behind all of these milestones is the GCash team, all purpose-driven individuals who I'm proud to represent today. Many of them are women, comprising almost half of my leadership team and the entire organization. This is proof that women can shine in tech. And this is our GCash story. Thank you and good morning.
And on that note, this closes out the future of money. Don't let the future be without you. You have met some amazing women today who are shaping our business, and I hope that you get the opportunity to connect with them. I will hand it over to Irene Natividad. I am telling you to leave the room for lunch setup, and we will see you at 12:30. Thank you very much.